some rumors about maybe some heart palpitations or something, just due to all the news with the Lakers. How you feeling?
Let's get Tone blood pressure down. Don't get his blood pressure up, Haley. He already having problems as it is. Okay, don't get his blood pressure up, Haley.
There's no news. There's no news. There's no news.
Yeah, but the what ifs could be worse.
We got a new head coach, nice young head coach who's gonna bring some defensive effort to the team. Kendrick Nunn is looking to come back, and he didn't play at all last year, so he's gonna be a nice addition. Playing. Anthony Davis is gonna be healthy. Braun is gonna be healthy. Russ is gonna play his role. We good. We don't need Kyrie.
Okay, if you say so. I don't know. I was worried about you for those few days.
Listen, you're worried. Let me tell you right now, so you know, the Lakers will be fine.
And if you don't know, you know.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm wondering if Anthony Davis is still day-to-day Davis. I'm just wondering if he still is that. Because he don't sound like he that no more. We got a new season coming up, so he doesn't really sound like he's day-to-day Davis no more. He sounds like he's AD now. Now, when he rolls his ankle or he gets a shoulder injury, are we going back to day-to-day Davis, or are we still going to be AD? What's the story, Tom?
All right. Let's go through Anthony Davis's career. Okay? 64, 67, 68, 60, 75, 75, 56, 60, 36, 4. Now the cycle now is back up to that 70 plus games. Okay, he goes 3-4 years under that, a couple of years over that, 3-4 years again under that. So now the next 2 years, 70, 75 games. That's what we're going to get out of him. It's cyclical. I'm okay.
And if you get those amount of games, what kind of success are we looking for? Because James signed up for this to hand it over to Anthony Davis. He didn't sign up to average 30 games.
What's going to happen is the Los Angeles Lakers are going to win the NBA championship.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
Oh, no, that's ridiculous. Have you seen the West? Come on. Have you seen the West?
West, please. Who's the best player in the West? LeBron James. Come on.
All right, well...
Wait, what?
I got his poster up. He's got to be.
Wait, what? Are we sure about that? I don't know about that one, but all right, okay.
Okay.
You want me to put all the jokes aside? I'm very nervous. We're coming back with basically the same squad a year older. That's not a comforting feeling. But like I said, here's the big if. If the Lakers stay healthy, if they put any effort on defense, because they gave none last year, they'll be in the mix, right? It's just like, listen, everybody's picking the Clippers right now, right? Clippers look good, right? Kawhi, Paul George, John Wall's going to be there, Reggie Jackson, who's it? Norman Powell.
Just extended Zubac.
Zubac. On paper, they've won the NBA championship. You know what the beauty of the NBA is? You need to play the games. Yeah, there's no paper champions. So, you know, there's still a lot. Look, we're just entering the off season now. We got time.
Well, obviously, we to, you know, suppress some of that stress you may have been feeling, Fluent. Woj came out obviously and gave us the news about Russ and you know, him re-signing his contract, staying with the Lakers for now. Obviously,
of course he's gonna opt in. It's $47 million.
Exactly. Why it took him this long to figure that out? I don't know. But
people were saying Kyrie's not opting in. 36.9. Of course he's opting in.
Yeah.
Okay, the Nets say we're not signing you to an extension. No problem. I'll take my $37 million. I'm good. Because he lost. I know that they say he got a lot of his money back from last year, but he lost a lot of money. So, you know, of course they're going to take the money. Just like, come on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I posted on my Instagram just a little poll because I'm trying to kind of look forward and see what are the Lakers going to do? What's their game plan? Because it has to change. A lot has to change. And yes, a new coach coming in is a good start. But I pose the question, will Russ start for the majority of the season or come off the bench for the second unit next season. And 53% said he would start, and 47% said that he was going to come off the bench, which is really, really close. But what do you guys think? Is he going to play with LeBron and AD, or are they going to have to bench him more often due to, his turnovers and just his play style, his on-ball play style? Of course, how do you see that playing out?
When have you seen an MVP not injured who still thinks he's one of the best players in the game come off the bench?
You don't.
So what makes you believe that Russ is going to take that planet-sized ego and just be like, all right, I'll come off the bench. I'm good.
Maybe it's time for him to start humbling himself. And I'm not saying I think that that's possible for Russ after all his career, but do you think that he's going to fit well into this unit, or it's going to just be a rerun of last season?
Well, let's also remember too, Tom, we talking about Russ like Russ was just horrid. For the record, Haley, outside of scoring, Russ led the Lakers in rebounds, blocks, assists, and steals. So he still was the second best player on the team. Led the Lakers in all four of those categories. So he can still play. Add that to the fact that last season, THT, AD, and James, those are the only three guys on the team last year that were on the team the year before that. So they had a completely different unit. So now we got this year under our belt with Russ. But the most important thing was Anthony Davis basically missed half the season. That's 24-11 that's off the books that James was relying on, that Russ was relying on. Now we get these guys together and we get to mix these guys together and actually have a year under our belt, which didn't go well, but have a year under our belt to see now how this works. And I think the catalyst is Anthony Davis staying healthy. If you could get 65, 70 games out of him, and James doesn't have to have the workload that he had last season, I think that those guys are going to be a lot better, just like Russell Westbrook. I think he's going to be a lot better than he was because now I'm familiar with how James plays. I can be more familiar with Anthony Davis, with him being on the floor more. But they absolutely have to shore up that roster too. I think that they have to get younger. I like the addition of Monk. None was going to be what Monk is. That's what Nunn was going to be. So we're talking about a guy in Nunn who's a really good transition player, who's a real good long ball shooter, which is something that the Lakers really needed. Well, if you can get him back in the lineup and keep him healthy, I think that he'll help. But like I said, the rest of that roster needs to be shored up. You still need more rebounding. You do need guys that are going to play defense and be committed to it. And once you get that, I'm having a really hard time seeing the Lakers not make the playoffs again this year. I'm having a really difficult time seeing that.
I think going off that, I have a hard time seeing the Lakers. I have a hard time seeing LeBron allowing that to happen again, much less the Lakers. Like, hopefully he can get that unit together and obviously producing. Go ahead, Fluent.
No, I was just gonna say we're killing Russ, and listen, deservedly so. It was one of his worst seasons. But like when I look at the team, everybody on the team played below their standards, with the exception of LeBron. But I mean, like, okay, he shot 29.8% from three. Do you know what his career average is?
32, I think, or 33.
30.
Okay, so it's right there.
So he's right there. From two, he shot 48.5. His career average, 47. So he's right there. Now, free throw shooting, okay, 67% when he normally shoots like 78. That's an issue. 7 and 7, again, not ideal, but when you don't have your two best players who are going to rack up those assists for in AD and Braun, 7 assists is, again, he averages 8 assists for his career. So 7's not that far off. 7.4 rebounds per game. Do you know what his career average is? 7.4 rebounds per game. Exactly the same as his career averages. So yes, his scoring was down at 18.5. And like I said, 7 and 7, but he also took 15 shots where he normally takes 20 shots per game. So he was trying to fit into a system that, wasn't what he was used to, right? They're trying to take him out of his element and make him a traditional, I use in air quotes, point guard to distribute. The problem is the guys he's supposed to distribute to weren't there, right? Like none, like you mentioned, to hit the threes. LeBron, AD, they were so in and out of the lineup. So yes, his shooting was overall worse than usual, but not that much. He also took less shots. So when I see the scoring down, I'm like, you know what? We're really hard on him because the expectation is so high. We keep remembering, what was he, like 30, 10, and 10. He's not that guy anymore. If you can get 27 and 7 from Russ in a system where he's not, I've always said this about Russ. Russ is so talented, but he only knows one speed, 1,000,000 miles an hour. If he would slow down just once a game and let the game come to him, he would be so much better. And, maybe getting old. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to slow down, but he's what, 34 years old, 33 years old. Maybe he does start. It's so funny. If he loses a bit of his athleticism, it might be good for him. He might slow down a little bit. And that's actually a good thing for Russ. So look, I guess maybe I'm the optimist because, I want them to be good, but I don't want to just give up on Russ. Everybody has a bad season. I don't know. Or bad.
Well, you also got to remember too, Tone, the two coaches that he had in Scott Brooks in Oklahoma City, right? And then when he was in Washington and when he was in Houston, one of the things that those coaches did was they turned Russ loose. They didn't turn Russ loose last year with the Los Angeles Lakers. He was in and out of the lineup. So should I do this? Well, should I not do this? Well, should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, that's screwing up his game because Russ only knows how to play one way. And that one way is free. I understand the speed of the game, how Russ is, but that one way is free. Russ is one of the guys who made it clear to Coach Vogel, yo, when the ball comes off the backboard, give me the ball. Well, Vogel said, no, whoever takes the ball off the backboard, go with it. Well, wait a minute. That's not my game. I'm the lead guard. And that's the way I play. The ball comes off the backboard, give me the ball. Well, that's one aspect that's now slowing me down because I'm used to playing with the ball. If you're going to have Russ, which I think that he could fit in with James, but the only way that that's going to happen is, you got to turn him loose, man. You can't put these clamps on him. You got to turn him loose.
And you know what the funny part is? I think especially when AD went down, if they would have given him the green light to just go, you know what happens? Listen, I know it's a little helter-skelter. There's going to be more turnovers. I get it. Scores are going to go up. But they'll actually, if they're running at that pace, they will come back and play defense. What I saw that scared me, there were times when the ball would go to Melo. And I've told you this before, 4 guys would stand there. For 8 seconds, I counted. And just, okay, go Melo. Melo, do what you want to do. And then he would miss. The team would fast break the other end. And because they were just so stagnant standing on offense, what did they do? Walk back on deep. There's this, what was that movie called? Bull Durham, where it goes, you know what? You lollygag over to first. You lollygag over to second. You lollygag in the outfield. You know what that makes you? A bunch of lollygaggers. Yeah. And that's what I saw from the Lakers. They were, they were dum on offense. So what did they do on defense? Dum. Didn't do anything. So, to Jay's point, I think if they would have said, just run, just go crazy, be helter-skelter, it might have actually helped them overall to just be a little crazy. So, now they're not going to get that from Darvin Ham. I doubt. So let's hope everybody's healthy. But, a little crazy is not bad. You love watching your Warriors, right?
Yeah.
They're on a fast break shooting logo threes. That's horrible basketball. But guess what? It gets them going because when they make one, they go nuts. Same
and
type of thing.
It also works too, though, Tone. Whoa. It's not horrible basketball. The reason why it's not horrible basketball because it works. It'd be like it's not like they shooting logo threes and they breaking them.
It's horrible fundamental basketball. You would never stop on the logo on a fast break and shoot a three.
Okay, well, two things. The league has changed, so that's.
No. But what I'm saying is, my point is, you would never do that traditionally.
Right.
But they get away with it because it works, and that's what I'm trying to compare it to Russ. Is that if you put clamps on him, it's not like if you told Steph, bring the ball up slow, don't shoot that logo three on the fast break, wait for the offense to catch up, set a play.
It's not going to work.
No, you would never do that. You never tell Steph, don't do that. No, go shoot that three.
Don't play your game. Like, you don't tell somebody, don't
play your game. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's what's
also,
going
I think,
on with Russ.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. It's sad to see, honestly, because we love Russ. We've seen, what he can do. Also, off that, the Warriors have great ball movement. Like, that's what they're known for. So if the Lakers can integrate some of that, they're already off to a good start. And I do want to ask, Jay, I'll start with you. Eritro in the chat. Also, what's up, chat? Thanks for joining us today. But Jay, if you guys were the GM, what steps would you take, moving forward with the Lakers?
Well, the one thing that we have to do is we got to get younger. And we'll start there because we got a lot of, for lack of a better term, old guys. You know, Anthony Davis is one of the younger guys on the team, and he's in year, 11? So we got to get younger, and we got to get more athletic. So we got to get younger on the wing. We got to get better defensively. We got to get better in the front court. So I'm adding rebounders. That's number one, because I want to speed up our transition game. I need to add some more wing defenders because I think that we're good. If I'm the Lakers, I think that we're good when it comes to buckets, right? Anthony Davis is going to give me, when he's healthy, he's a 20 and 10 guy on average. He's going to give me that. I know that for a fact. Russ had a down year. He was 18, 7, and 7, and that's a down year. So I think that I can get 19, 6, and 7 from Russ, right? James went 30 this season that just passed. I don't think I'm going to get 30 again from James. In fact, not only I don't think that I'm going to get that, I'm not asking him to do that. I'm going to get that point production from somewhere else, even collectively. Anthony Davis is going to be better. Russ is going to be better. So I need guys to speed the game up. So I need to get more athletic on the wing. I think that they need to get another backup for James. I think that they need to get not just big in the front court, but more athletic in the front court and younger. Get more rebounders, right? And I think they need more dirty work guys too, because when I look at Monk as a long ball shooter, I like Monk as a long ball shooter. I like Nunn as a long ball shooter. These guys aren't healthy, but I think that when these guys come back and they're healthy, I think that that's going to help the Lakers. But I think that they need to show up their front court, and I think that they need to get more athletic on the wing.
That's a really nice, politically correct, safe answer. Here's what they need to do. If I was the GM, trade Russ for whatever I can get, trade AD for whatever I can get, and start over, because what they did, and you are correct on this, they went with a bunch of vet minimums to a bunch of old dudes. They did. They thought that in this league today, those old dudes ain't gonna work. They need, just think about it. I get it. It was because of injury, but one of their best dirty work guys at the end of the season, Stanley Johnson.
Yeah,
Stanley Johnson, right? Like, I don't listen. He's a hardworking. I like the way he plays. He brings something to. But they need guys like that, young, hungry, right? Like I would get rid of, they got rid of Rondo, but like the Rondos, the Dwight Howards, even the Carmelos. I get it. It's you're not going to compete in the West with the Warriors and the Grizzlies and even the Suns. Like you're not going to the Jazz. You're not going to compete with those guys with
Dallas.
A bunch of old guys. You're just Dallas. Yeah, you're not. They get up and down the court, so you're going to need those guys that are younger. And look. They might not have the experience. They'll get there. Like just, again, I go back to your Warriors. Your Warriors had their couple of older guys, right? So you got your LeBron and then it was who was making the difference? Wiggins, who's still fairly young. Poole, Looney. Like it was young guys who just had that energy and that, desire. I didn't see that. I didn't see that from the old guys last year.
If that's true though, Tone, if that's true though, Tone, then why are you keeping the oldest guy? What is he still doing here? He got to go too. If we're gonna do this, right? If we moving off Russ if we moving off Anthony Davis, why are we holding on to the oldest guy? And we're gonna put in. Not only that, he's not trying to hear being around a bunch of pups. No way is he trying to hear that.
That's been part of his problem.
I'm gonna be 38 years old, Tone. You think I want to play with a bunch of pups? No, I don't want to do that.
I didn't say pups. I said younger than what they had.
Okay, so let's talk about the Warriors. Jordan Poole, what year is he in, Haley?
Third.
Pop.
Moving into fourth.
Moving into fourth. Kaminga, what year is he in?
Now moving into last season doesn't really count.
Pop. How about Wiseman? Pop.
No.
So they got a bunch of pups, Tone. So with that being said,
they had Draymond, they had Clay. Those guys aren't.
Yes. So and this is what you want to do, Tone. You want to trade Draymond and you want to trade Clay. And you want to leave me with the rest of these pups. That's what you want to do. That's not going to work.
I'm not giving them AD for nothing. I'm bringing in someone for AD.
Okay.
Getting
now, once again, and I'm glad you mentioned that.
Let me ask you, if I call up Utah, AD in a first, knowing that they're blowing things up there, you don't think they're making that deal?
Making what deal?
AD and something for Gobert. Are they making that deal?
I don't even know.
Phoenix.
I don't know.
Ayton's leaving. Ayton's out the door. Ayton for AD? Again, there's other pieces that have to go to work there, but they're not making that deal.
No, and you know why we're not making that deal? Number one, we're in the same division. We'll start there. We're in the same division. And if you think that we're going to hand over Anthony Davis, you think Phoenix is going to hand over Ayton for gone. Anthony Davis? He is gone, but we ain't giving him to the Lakers. That's what we're not going to do. I'm not saying that we're not going to give him to Detroit. I'm not saying that we're not going to give him to San Antonio. I can tell you who we're not giving him to. We damn sure ain't giving him to the Lakers. I don't care. No way are we doing that. No.
Can I get Zion?
Absolutely not. No, we ain't doing that neither. So this is what you do. You dump me, Anthony Davis, right? You dump me. And then you go out to Los Angeles, and now we're going to come back, and you're going to go out with my younger sister now. No,
damn
that's
right.
Not happening. No,
thing to do.
No, it's not going on. No.
Look, okay, let's be honest. You're the GM of the Lakers. You running it back? You've got no money. You've got no money.
That's the problem, though, Tone.
You've got no trade. You've got no trade capital, with the exception of Russ and AD.
Right.
You know that Jordan loves Russ. Why wouldn't you try to pry away LaMelo or Rozier and something out of Charlotte? Like you would.
What?
I'm not saying you're going to get it. You're going to try, though.
Well, here's the thing that I'm concerned with Jordan more than anything, because Jordan now with what he's doing with Bridges, it looks, for lack of a better term, it looks goofy, because what you're doing, Mike, is you're making LaMelo look sideways at you like, what are we doing here? Because if we're not going to sign this guy, and then you're going to bring in Russell Westbrook, and if you're going to bring in Russell Westbrook, if I'm the Lakers, I'm not listening to any trade that doesn't involve LaMelo. I'm not. And Mike would be nuts to hand over LaMelo Ball for Russell.
What makes you think
he would be nuts to do that?
No way am I doing that.
There haven't been many things that he's done to make sense. However, there has to be somebody in that boardroom. Because even if he has a bunch of yes men around him, there has to be somebody in that boardroom, Tone, going, okay, everybody out. You, sit down. No, we're not doing that. I know it sounds like a great idea, but we're not doing that. No.
You know Michael Jordan. You think someone's going to tell him that? He might take that personal.
And this is exactly why the Charlotte Hornets. So it sounds to me like, Tone, it sounds to me like we could swindle the Charlotte Hornets out of their best young player. That's what it sounds like you're trying to do.
100%.
Click. Because I already know what you're up to. I know why you're calling me. So before the conversation even starts, Tone, let's make sure we get to the bottom of one thing. Do not ask me for LaMelo Ball, because if you do, you're getting hung up on. I'm letting you know that right now.
Listen, I'm not saying that. All I know is he's enamored by Russ. Right. And there's pieces in Charlotte that I could probably get away that makes my team better and gets me out of that $47 million I'm paying Russ. Now, you can run it back and then have that money next year and say, hey, we're the Lakers, guys are going to come back. But I guarantee you, if they have another season where they don't make the playoffs, and now you're really starting to mess with LeBron's legacy, because if he misses the playoffs 2 years in a row, he's out. Because if he doesn't sign an extension by August 1st, he's got 1 year, and then he's a free agent. And if he don't make the playoffs, he's out.
But I think you're stuck between a rock and a hard place here, simply because we basically gave up our shirt for the Anthony Davis deal. We basically gave up the house for him. So we don't really have any draft capital. We have none of that. Add that to the fact that the guys that we do have in Anthony Davis and in Russell Westbrook, well, they're not really hot commodities right now. So there's nobody really ringing the phone, calling us going, hey, I was wondering if Anthony Davis was available. Hey, I was wondering how
Chicago wants Anthony Davis.
If Chicago wanted Anthony Davis, he would be on that roster today, Tone. So don't start it. Do not. There's no way that the Chicago Bulls called up Rob Pelinka and said, hey, I was wondering if Anthony Davis was available. Give me a break, Tone, because Rob Pelinka would have been like, really? Are you really asking if he's available? Well, what do you have that's available for him?
No, he said, hey, we're interested in AD. And Rob Pelinka, if he was smart, said, Russ is attached to his hip. Give us a package for both.
That's
why Chicago went click.
No.
Oh.
No. Tone, what? We're not doing that. No, we're not doing that, Tone.
Okay, guys.
I'm trying. Listen, everybody said, I know you want to move on, Haley. I'll say just one last thing. Everybody said when Russ was in Houston, his contract was untradeable. No one would take him. He went to Washington. Then in Washington, they said he's untradeable. And then he gets moved to the Lakers. There's no player, no salary, especially an expiring contract that big, that is untradeable. So
I thought Chris Paul's contract was radioactive when he was in Houston. I'll be lying to you if I didn't, Tone. I was thinking there's no way he's getting moved with that deal. He got moved. So there's very little that I believe in terms of a guy not being able to get traded. I don't believe that there's much there when you're talking about a guy getting traded. No way.
And for FIFA Boy, yes, I'm having way too much fun with the soundboard.
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. So for the other team in LA, the Clippers, a lot's been going on
That's
as well.
That's the San Diego Paperclips. That's not a team. There's only one team in LA. That's the Lakers.
Okay. For you. But so obviously John Wall is headed to LA. And now we have this new roster. Okay, imagine we have Kawhi, we have Paul George, we have Reggie Jackson, we have the 2 trades from last year from Portland and Norman Powell, Rob Covington. I mean, this is a deep roster. Like, this roster is good. How dangerous do you see it being next season with Ty Lue coaching all these young guys, these older guys? And if they can stay healthy, will they be a top seed next season? Jay, what are you thinking?
Well, before Leonard got hurt, I had the Clippers in the NBA Finals. I thought that the Jazz Clippers winner was going to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. And I still feel like that when Leonard is healthy, when Paul George is healthy, I think that they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the Western Conference. Here's the problem that we're having. The problem that we're having is bringing in John Wall. Everybody is so captivated by what's going on because you think that this is the John Wall from a couple of years ago, the John Wall that averaged 20 and 10 for 5 straight years. He did do that. Only except he hasn't played.
That's more than a couple of years ago. The last time John Wall was that guy, Kyrie, I believe, was still on the Cavs. Like, it's been a minute. Okay.
So with that being said, he hasn't played in 2 of the last 3 seasons. He's played 40 games in the last 3 seasons in Houston. So the question that I have with John Wall is very much like it was with Clay. The question was, can you still play? We are miles away from you being elite. So when Clay got back with the Warriors, I wasn't concerned with Clay being elite. My question to Clay was, can he still hold up? He hasn't played in 2 years. So he proved that I'm not elite like I used to be. I mean, I think he shot his 3rd worst long ball percentage in the playoffs in his career. I think he shot his 3rd worst field goal percentage in the playoffs in his career this year. But he played, which means that I can hold up, which means I can still play. Well, I'm looking at John Wall. The question is, can you still play? Forget the fact of you being that 20 and 10 guy that was in Washington. I am miles away from that guy. I'm wondering if he could still hold up. And Tone, you being a football guy, you can appreciate this. The Clippers aren't just going to hand John Wall the basketball. We have ourselves a quarterback competition. He's got to win that job because they already got a really good point guard in Reggie Jackson. So they're not just going to hand him the basketball. And that's to the fact that they got him on the cheap. So this is very much similar to what they did in New York. This is a high reward, low risk kind of thing. Because if this doesn't work out, we really didn't pay much for him. Very much like Kemba Walker. If this doesn't work out, we really didn't pay much for him. But if it does, it's a win-win for us. So I think the thing that needs to be understood more than anything that he needs to prove, can you still play John Wall? That's the $1 million question.
I think, listen, John Wall was healthy last season, and Houston was like, "No, we good." So there is that too. But here's the thing: I think John Wall's going in with the understanding, like, he could have gone to a lesser team with lower expectations and done a prove it year.
Mm-hmm.
He chose to go to the Clippers, a team that, because now Kawhi, from all the reports that I've heard, people I've talked to, Kawhi is looking fantastic. Like Raptor Kawhi. He's looking healthy and just like his old self.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a healthy Paul George, a healthy Kawhi. Forget everybody else for a minute. You got those 2 guys, you're a contender.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So he picked them knowing that, hey, I'm going to go here and I'm going to play a role. I'm not going to be the guy. So can John Wall go in and play that role? I think he can. I think he's going to come off the bench and he's going to have a lot of fun coming off the bench. And that team, again, I'm going on paper, but that team on paper, again, I have to say this, but if healthy, to answer your question, Haley, if healthy, that team should and is the favorite to win the NBA championship. They've got two top 10, maybe 15, two top 15 players in the league. They had a team that last year, right, for all the talk of teams that didn't make the playoffs because this person was hurt and that person was hurt, Paul George played what, 20 games?
Yes.
Maybe. Kawhi played 0, and the rest of those guys still made it. The most underrated coach, I think, maybe in the last 20 years is Ty Lue. And, you know, they asked, hey, Ty Lue, how did you do? They asked the players, how did you do it? How did he do it? How did he relate to these players? And he said he just gave them the freedom to, like, he said, look, if you do this, you're going to get minutes. If you don't, you're not. And they like the transparency, they like the honesty, and they bought into that system. So now you bring back those guys, and people are sleeping on Norman Powell. Wait till the playoffs and they see playoff Powell. That dude can ball, okay?
Yeah.
And so they're gonna have scoring from everywhere, defense from everywhere. Like every position can score and play D, whether it's the starter or the backup. That team should. This team again. So I'm gonna put big expectations. This team could be an all-time great team. That's how good they should be able to play if healthy, and they play this season. Like 65+ win team.
Yikes.
Like that's what this team should be. That's what they are on paper. That's what they are on paper. Now, a lot of things have to go right. They have to gel. They have to be healthy. All those things. But that's how good they could be talent-wise.
From a talent standpoint, we're talking about 65 wins. Because again, Tone, I had them in the NBA Finals before Leonard got hurt. I had them representing the West in the NBA Finals. I didn't have them beating Milwaukee. I wasn't sure if they could beat Milwaukee, but I did have them in the NBA Finals. Now we're talking about a guy in Kawhi Leonard who I think when he's healthy, he's a top 5 player. I think when he's healthy, he's a top 5 player. Paul George, you can make the argument that he's a top 10 player.
Well, that's why I struggled with 10, but I was like,
yeah, you can make the argument that he's a top 10 player, but he's absolutely a top 12, top 15 player. No doubt about that. They just extended Zubac, right? I like Norman Powell. Norman Powell is one of the best D&3 guys in the game. I'm a big Norman Powell guy, especially if he could hold up, right? So Reggie Jackson being who Reggie Jackson is in the role that he's in, I don't think that they're bringing John Wall in to be a reserve, but I also don't think that they're just going to hand him the basketball neither. He's going to have to win this job.
Start?
Who's going to start? I'm sorry, Tom.
You think John Wall's going to start?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that I don't think they're bringing John Wall in to just give him the basketball. I think that he's going to have to win that job. I don't think that he's just coming in there and they're going, okay, you're our point guard. They already have a point guard in Reggie Jackson, who's really good. Add that to the fact that John Wall hasn't proven over the last couple of years that he can even play. So that's the question with John Wall. Can he play? Tone, we don't care about what you look like on paper. You just made that clear with your Los Angeles Lakers. We don't care about what you look like on paper. What we care about is, in the words of Tone, that's why we play the games. So on paper, it may look great. But when we start this thing, is Leonard going to hold up? Is Paul George going to hold up, right? Is Zubac going to be better? Is Zubac going to be better than what he was last year? Is Reggie Jackson going to be better? Ty Lue can only do so much.
That's why I say on paper, right? If you look at what is the projected starting lineup of Jackson, Powell, Leonard, Paul, Zubac. Off the bench, John Wall, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington. Don't forget, they just extended him too, right? Luke, I don't know if you want Luke Kennard. Like there's some shooters, Marcus Morris, that right. Like they also have a bench. They're again on paper, they're built to succeed. They've got everything.
Are they better than the Lakers? Are they better than the Lakers when healthy?
Yes, they're better than the Lakers when healthy.
Are the Lakers? Are they better than the Lakers if Anthony Davis is healthy, if Russ is healthy, if James is healthy, and they shore up that roster the way I think that they're going to shore that roster up? Are the Clippers better than them? I can't say that with 100% certainty.
I think they are better because they're deeper, right? Like after LeBron, Russ, and AD, who listen, their games don't necessarily mesh, right? But after those three guys, there's a drop. And after Paul, Kawhi, and I don't know who you want, and maybe Jackson as their third best, the drop isn't as far when you go to Powell and Zubac and, like I said, Covington and those guys. I just think they're a more versatile team. And like I said, they're going to score and they're going to defend. I haven't seen the Lakers defend. I know it was one season and it was an injury plagued season. I haven't seen them defend. I know the Lakers can score. So again, all healthy, I think they're a deeper team than the Lakers. Now, am I betting against all healthy LeBron and AD? No, because the last time they were healthy, they won a chip. So, but like I said, on paper, these guys look deep.
65 wins is that's a lot.
Hey, the lot has to go right. I said they have to gel. They healthy. Like a lot of Kawhi has to listen. If Kawhi does one of his, I'm only going to play 60 games this year. Hey, that throws a wrinkle in it. But then again, if he only plays 60, 65 games, that actually is where he succeeds, right? When he was a Raptor, he played. What did he play? He played 60 games, and they went 17-5 without him. So like that's the recipe to success with Kawhi.
And the last year when he was with the Clippers, when he was healthy, he only played 55 games.
Yeah,
and And not only did he only play 55 games, like I said, I thought they was going to the NBA Finals. I did. Because like I said, Ty Lue, he can only do so much. These guys have to hold up. That's the most important thing. Your availability is your best ability.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see how it plays out next season. I think it's going to be, I think they're going to be good. Honestly, like if we have to make predictions right now, I think they have the potential to go further than the Lakers, but that's just me. So we'll move over to the East. Obviously we have to touch on Kyrie. We won't spend too long on it because, we did kind of hear back. He's obviously staying in Brooklyn. He opted in for his, to finish out his time in Brooklyn. But an interesting stat I read was he's missed more than
he's only played 45% of his 45% of his games.
230 games, and he's played 117 games since 2019-2020 season, which is insane. Obviously he could be a free agent next season depending on this season's performance. But my question to you guys, because now we know KD and Kyrie are going to stay together, but Kyrie has lost credibility. He has to rebuild that trust, not only with his team, his teammates, but also with the league in general. Because if he doesn't perform well this season, do you think that this is going to affect the rest of his career? And also partnered with that, do we think that he even wants to play ball? Because there are those players, I'm just going to throw out Ben Simmons. I love Ben Simmons. I've rooted for Ben Simmons, but I feel like he's one of those guys that A, maybe he's just not ready for a big stage, or B, maybe he just doesn't love basketball enough to play at an elite level. I don't know his heart, so I can't speak on that. But I guess I'm just asking for Kyrie's sake, does he need to kind of rebuild that trust, and can that affect the rest of his career? What do you think about that whole situation over there in Brooklyn?
Here's the thing. So like you say that, listen, it's the last 3 years where he's played 45, I think, % of his games or something like that.
Yeah.
And prior to that, he was always, 60, 70 games. He was pretty consistent in his games played prior to that. But let's remember, 2 out of the 3 years that you're talking about, it was because he's played 20, 50 something, 29, I think 30 games. That first year where he played 20 was that bubble year. He didn't want to go. I think he refused to go back and play after the George Floyd thing. I don't think anyone blames him for that. Last year, listen, I'm a pro-vaxxer. He's an anti-vaxxer. I don't hold it against him, but it wasn't like he didn't want to play. The state of New York wouldn't let him play. So I'm kind of torn with him because here's the thing: when you're that talented, they're going to let you play, right? And when he played, he wasn't like he was bad. He played I think his second, third game back, he dropped 50, right? Like he's gonna play. So I don't think the trust is a thing, because this year he's not gonna have to face again. Let's hope nothing like social happens where he's protesting. Let's hope not. There's no other George Floyd stuff. COVID's not going to be an issue unless they start locking down New York for monkeypox. I don't know. So here's his opportunity to come in and play, and he's playing, a final year of a contract. I love guys on their final year of the contract. They always seem to get a little bit better. And KD's his guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look, what he did was kind of shady. Well, listen, if you don't extend me, then I'm going to leave. And if I leave, KD leaves. So you better pay me. Good job by the Nets. And I think Sean Marks, to call out his bluff and say, well, we're not paying you. Go find a trade. Then he walked around and everyone said, I think the Lakers said, we got $6 million. You want that? He's like, nope, I'm going back to Brooklyn. So they called his bluff, and now he's going to play. I think Kyrie loves playing basketball, and I think he loves playing with KD. So Ben Simmons is the wild card. Can Ben Simmons fit into that big three? I think he can. I think that's here's the one situation where Ben Simmons, isn't a shooter. Well, guess what? Don't worry. Kyrie and KD, they good. They don't need you to shoot. They need you to play defense, though. So it actually could work. This is their shot. Like, here's the thing. There's so much riding on this season because, to your point, if KD doesn't show up, if Kyrie doesn't show up, KD doesn't play well, right? There's legacy stuff. And listen, I'm telling you, I say it, this is the second time I've said it today. Players today are aware of their legacies. They're not going to let it slide. They know it's been a failure up until this point because of whatever factors. This is their year to get it done, or else they're probably not there the year after if they don't get it done. And they still might not be. Heck, Kyrie won a chip and still left Cleveland. So you don't know. You never know with that guy.
Well, first of all, Haley, I'm not sure that this thing is over with. I'm not. I know that you say that with those two guys are going to play. I'm not sure that this thing is over with just yet. Him opting into his deal, what it does is it gives Brooklyn now leverage, so they can move on from him. And if they do move on from him, they could get a suitable trade partner who knows that Irv is going to sign an extension with whomever he needs to sign an extension with. That's first of all. But we're talking about a guy in the last 3 years, Tone. He's played, on average, he's played 34 games a season in the regular season, on average. I'm not sure how that math works, but that sounds to me like a guy who shows up to work once every 4 days.
But there was.
I can't build my unit around that, Tone. I can't build my unit around that. And the reason why, that's the exact reason why Sean Marks went to management and said, we cannot extend this guy 5 years because he's unreliable. He's problematic. He's not durable. Now, is he a baller? 26, 7, and 6, Tone, over those last 3 years. So he's the employee who's really good at his job, except he won't really show up to work. And when he does show up to work, I'm not really feeling that good. But when I do show up to work and I do my job, I am awesome, which is why it's so difficult to fire him. For that reason right there, because he is actually really good at his job. However,
he scared King 90, just so you know. That was really loud. King 90 fell out of his bed.
We're all awake.
Now, with that being said, I'm looking at a guy like Kyrie Irving, just so you know, Tone, in the last 3 years, his playoff production has gone down, which is the most important thing. This is why I'm having such a difficult time with this all-time great logic, because when I hear guys who are all-time greats, they're consistent with it. Kyrie Irving is problematic. He's unreliable. He's not very durable, and he's not available all the time. So because of that, that makes him a guy that I can't build my unit around because he's unstable. I can't build my unit around that kind of instability because at any point you're going to fall apart. What happened in Brooklyn was very simple. Kyrie Irving tried to bully his way into an extension, and the Brooklyn Nets said no. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let you go test the market. Is anybody interested? Well, if you don't, I'll go play for the Lakers for $6 million. Here's the door, sir. Knock yourself out. Okay, wait a minute.
So let me ask you this. You say he's unreliable. And the Nets call him unreliable. If it wasn't for COVID last year, where, again, it's not like he didn't want to play last year. He wasn't allowed to play. So if he played...
There would have been something else. Honestly, if you look at his track record, you don't have to look at his track record.
Yes, we do know that, Tony.
Look at history.
We do know that. You know why we know that? Because we've seen it.
What year did he play less than 60 games?
Okay, how about in 1920?
That was the bubble.
So he only played 20 games. You do know we had a 72-game season that year.
It was once.
Okay. Well, what about last year, Tom? How about that?
He wasn't allowed to. So if he played 65 games last year,
okay. And what about the year before that, Tom?
He played 55.
54 games.
54. Okay.
How can I? That's barely more than half the season. How can I rely on a guy who's playing barely more than half the season?
That's what Kawhi does every year.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tone. And Kawhi doing that every year these teams are not relying. And how are the Clippers doing since Kawhi was doing that? I'm sorry. So I'm clear. This is why we can't build. This is why we can't build our unit around you, Tone. The reason why we can't build our unit around you because more than anything, you are unreliable and you are unstable. The dude. Let's make sure we're clear on Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he ends up because of the social climate in America. He misses 2 weeks because of the social climate in America, and I can appreciate what that does to you mentally. What I can't appreciate is you just taking off and not telling nobody. That I can't appreciate. I can't keep my job if I just leave work and go, yo, these cops killing people, this is just too much for me, I'm out. And not tell anybody. That's not gonna work when I have other people depending on me. That's very irresponsible, that's unreliable. And I can't build my unit around a guy like that. And Kyrie Irving has shown time and time again that he's unreliable, he's not durable, and he's unstable. He's shown, which is primarily why the Brooklyn Nets did not extend him. Tony, if this dude played 70, 75 games.
That he's super talented.
He is absolutely.
And you know when you're super talented, you'll get another chance.
And you know why you'll get
the talent is creeping up, Fluent. Now that people are coming into the league, the league is changing. There's more and more talent, so he cannot rely only alone on his talent because honestly, the older he gets, we don't know how much talent if we aren't even seeing it that he has. So I don't know. I think he's losing trust, and I think he has to really prove him. He has to prove himself this season. He has to.
We got a trade.
We have a trade. Is this news? Is this news? New Orleans Noel and Alex Burke.
Noel from the Knicks.
Noel and Alex Burke. The Knicks have traded them to free up cap space, $19 million for Brunson. We'll talk about that.
They did deal him?
That's Bubba G Cuts, who we're gonna get to your question. I promise, Bubba. Just broke the news. It's his Woj bomb.
Thank you.
They're going all in on that Brunson. That is horrible.
Wow. Ooh.
We break news on here. Oh, okay.
Traded to the. They traded. Oh wow, they traded Noel and Burke to the Pistons.
So to Detroit, and they opening up that money so they can get Brunson
for Brunson.
Yeah, they're opening up that money to get Brunson, and it helps because Brunson's father, Rick Brunson, is now on the Knicks coaching staff.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you guys were aware of that, but yeah, his father is on the coaching staff.
So JD is no longer a fan of the Mavs. He has said if Brunson's gone, he is gone.
Well, wait a minute. That's not official. They just opening up this money. Remember, the Dallas Mavericks can play. They can pay him the most. Add that to the fact that I know that my father's there. I'm originally from the East Coast. I went to Villanova. I'm a Philly guy. Right. That does make sense. But if we're talking about getting paid and being in a better situation, why would I leave Dallas? What's the plus side of me leaving Dallas? Because I'm going to New York for less money. I'm going to New York to be on a worse team and in a worse situation. In Texas, not just Texas, in Dallas, I'm playing with a better player. I'm in a better situation, and I'm making the most money. So why would I leave Dallas for that? What's going on now? I understand the whole family.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Makes no sense.
I'm trying to make sense of it.
As we all know, the Knicks are the Knicks are the worst.
Yeah. But to get back to your point about Kyrie Irving, if they were committed to him, teams do not. I think this is one of Danny Ainge's demise because he let Kyrie Irving just walk out the front door. I think that the fact that Kyrie Irving opted into his deal helps Marks because he's not going to let Kyrie Irving just walk out the front door. I think he's over him. I will tell you that, Tom. I think he's over Kyrie Irving, but I don't think he's just going to let him walk out the front door neither. I don't.
So this puts the franchise, the Brooklyn franchise, in a better place to maybe get something better in return versus him just going to the Lakers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because everything that Danny Ainge did with drafting Jason Tatum, with drafting Jaylen Brown, with drafting Marcus Smart, with drafting Robbie Williams, he did a lot of good things with drafting Grant Williams, right? He did a lot of good things. You can't let Kyrie Irving walk out the front door. You cannot. Absolutely not. Can you let Kyrie Irving just walk out the front door for nothing? For nothing, especially when you know that at some point, LeBron James wrote the blueprint on this. When your star comes into a contract year and he won't extend, we have to look to deal him, because either he's going to walk out the front door and you're going to get nothing, and you're going to be left holding the bag, or he's going to resign. Now, which one is more likely? He's not going to resign with you. That's more likely. So I'm definitely looking into moving off of him and trading him. Because let me ask you this question, Mo. In 2009, going into the 2009-2010 season, when LeBron James says he's not signing a contract extension, what do you think we can get for him?
Anything you want. Anything, but
call up whoever you want.
But the problem is, though, I get what you're saying. And listen, there's tons of teams where you just trade them. But it's not that easy, because you end up getting deals like what did the Raptors get for Vince Carter? A bag of donuts.
Alonzo Mourning, who never even came up
to play, and they had to buy him out.
Mm-hmm.
They got I don't know, I think Aaron Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got a balloon, tickets to the Jersey Fair. Like they didn't really get, they didn't get much. So that's the problem. When you know the player's going to leave, I see what you're saying. You got to better get something from him, a draft pick, something.
Right.
But they're holding the cards. So, all right. I think we've talked way too much about Kyrie. I think we've talked a lot.
Yeah. Well, chat, I'll give you the choice. Do we want to go in a Chris Paul controversy direction, or do we want to go in the 4-point line controversy direction? I'll let you guys choose.
JD, put that.
I'm all in.
JD will hopefully.
Because both are good.
Hopefully, JD will put up a poll: 4-point or Chris Paul. While they do that, let's give Bubba Guts his question. He wants to know if you're taking a prime James Harden or current Luka Doncic.
Current Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
And I'm taking a current Luka Doncic because I know who James Harden is. He showed me that in 2012, but I didn't listen. I basically turned a blind eye, because when I saw him in the finals, that's just an aberration. He's young. He's going to get it together. When in reality, this is who this guy really is. When the stage gets bigger and the lights get brighter, he shrinks. Well, Luka has shown that I am with the drama. And I'm with the drama any and everywhere. And I don't know how much better Luka is going to get, but what he is now, if I could get that from Luka for 10 years, I'm good with that. Because he's shown that we can advance with him, and we can advance far with him. And add that to the fact that he's susceptible to criticism and doing something about it. Prime example would be looking at his body. Jason Kidd told him, you got to get in better shape. Luka looked like he did that. James Harden just showed up, which would be another reason why he didn't do well in the postseason, because he broke down.
Yep, I'm with you. It's funny. I don't know what I see the question, and I thought we'd read it, but I don't even think it's a question. I think it's pretty easy. It's current Luka over prime CP3. Listen, JD's asleep at the wheel, but the chat
looks like we're going the Paul route.
The chat has come through, and they want to talk Chris Paul controversy. What do we got?
Bing bong.
Alrighty. So we have a quote by Chris Paul himself. All I'm saying is we had the best record in the league by 8 games and then one small series, and our season is over. How is that good for the NBA? So I'm not even going to start, because I'm kind of banned
his
from
issue
Suns
is
content.
You play 82 games and then you lose a 7-game series like they've done since the beginning of time.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if it's from the angle of the play-in game, because think about it. They would have never played New Orleans, right? Were the Pelicans a play-in team?
Yes, they were a play-in team. Yes.
So I don't know if that's what he's struggling with.
Were the Pelicans the 9 seed?
No, they were the 11 seed. Actually. No,
Oh.
I think
No,
San Antonio was the 11 seed. San Antonio was the 11
10.
seed.
10.
San Antonio was the 10 seed. New Orleans was the 9 seed. That's correct. That is correct.
So New Orleans was the 9 seed. So he's upset that they beat whoever to move up into the 8 seed. Listen, if you're the 1 and you lose to an 8 or a 9 or a 10, you stink. So get over it. Like maybe don't break down so much in the playoffs and you'd have a ring already. Stop crying and get to basketball. How about that, Chris Paul? Do you hear that, Chris Paul? I said it.
Well, my thing is, go, Jay.
I'm just trying to make sense of why this is an issue. Right. You guys won in the first round. So it's not a situation where you lost in the first round against a playing team. You won in the first round. And add that to the fact that the playoffs are hard. And it's supposed to be that way. I'm not a big fan of the play-in tournament. I'm not.
No, but that's why I don't think you're like, that's why I don't think that's his issue is the play-in, because I think he's mad that they play 7 games. I don't know what he's mad that he lost.
Well, if you lose, like he just said, we were 8 games. We were 8 games in first place not just in the Western Conference. I think in the NBA, I think they had the best record in the league. So, and then you lose and your season's over. How is that good for the league? Well, it's not good for the league. You know what it's not good for even more? It's not good for your team. So you guys should play better. How about that for an idea? So it's not like it's a situation where you guys got jerked against Dallas. You guys fell asleep. You went up 2-0 and you had this series under control. Only except you didn't. You go back home and you get smoked on your home floor in game 7. That's terrible for the league. But not only is it terrible for the league, it's terrible for you guys because you played so bad and you're representing the league. It's not like somebody did this to you. Dallas did this to you guys. It's not like somebody threw a monkey wrench and jerked you guys. Nobody jerked you. You guys jerked yourselves by playing as bad as you did against Dallas, getting blown out in game 6 and then getting blown out again in game 7. That has nothing to do with the league. How about you guys play better?
I'm trying to understand what he wants. Okay, they had 64 wins. They were 8 games better than anybody else. Memphis had the second best record in the league. What does he want? Does he say because they have the best record, they should automatically go to the NBA final? Like,
yes, that's the logic, Tom. That's basically what the logic is. We were 8 games. We were 8 games above everybody else, and it's bad for the league that the best team in the NBA is not in the NBA finals. Well, there's a reason why the best team.
Let's eliminate the playoffs. Let's
go
back to the 1930s NFL that the team with the best record wins the championship.
No.
Why not? That's what he wants. Let's do it.
There's a reason. There's a reason why we have the playoffs. So you get to the championship. You don't just automatically get there because you're the best team in the regular season. It's bad for the league when the number 1 seed gets smoked in game 7 on their home floor and they play as bad as they did. That's bad for the league. You know why that's bad for the league? Because you guys represent the league. So don't make it look like the league did this to you guys. This is you guys playing as bad as you played. It wasn't like there was a conspiracy where Dallas played with 6 or 7 guys. No, they didn't. They played with 5 guys just like you did. They played with 3 refs just like they did in Phoenix. So this wasn't a situation where you guys got jobbed. You guys were terrible. That's bad. When you guys represent the league like that, that's why it's bad for the league. Not because you guys got jobbed. I want to that logic right now.
Yeah. Honestly,
two quick things. One, let's hope that he was misquoted because you never know in today's day and age. They put, you never know what's real and what's fake anymore.
I believe that. I believe that.
And 2, to my favorite name in all the chats I've ever seen in all my years of doing stuff, Dang Jangalang. It's the best name. I need you guys jerked yourselves. Yes, that will be on the soundboard next week. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. Nobody jerked you guys. You guys did this
yourselves. I love it.
You guys did this. We didn't do it. You did it.
So, Keyshawn NBA had a question in the chat. He said, and I'll look it up unless one of you know, but he said, how often does the number 1 seed win it all?
How often does the number 1 seed win it all? Let's see. The Lakers won it. They were the number 1 seed. The Bulls were the number 1 seed in 95, 96, 96, 97. They were the number 2 seed behind the Jazz. They were tied with the Jazz because the Jazz beat them in the tiebreaker. In the 98, 99 season, San Antonio won it. They had the best record in the Western Conference. In 2000, the Lakers were the number 1 seed. In 2001, who was the best team in the Western Conference? It wasn't the Lakers. The Lakers won 56 games that year. The best team was San Antonio. So in 2002, the Sacramento Kings had the best record. In 2003, San Antonio had the best record. In 2004, the Lakers were the number 1 seed. In 2005, San Antonio had the best. They were the number 1 seed. In 2006, the Miami Heat had the best record in the Eastern Conference, but Dallas actually had a better record, so they were the number 1 seed.
You want me to break it down a little bit simpler for you? You can keep going. This is actually so impressive, but
I know. I was like, whoa.
You want me to let him go? Okay, keep going.
Okay, in 2007, the number 1 seed in Dallas, they got bounced in round 1. So the San Antonio Spurs won it. In 2008, the Boston Celtics were the number 1 seed. They beat the Lakers. In 2009, the Los Angeles Lakers won it, but the Cleveland Cavaliers were the best team in the league that year. In 2010, the Lakers won it. They were the number 1 seed. In 2011, Dallas Mavericks were the number 1 seed. In 2012, the Miami Heat had the best record in that shortened season. In 2013, the Miami
They were the
Heat,
number 2. They were the number 2 seed in 2012.
The Miami Heat.
The Miami Heat, yeah. I have it in front of me. That's why
in that shortened season. Okay, I'm sorry. They were the number 2 seed. In 2013, the Miami Heat were the number 1 seed. I think they had the second most wins in NBA history. They went on a 28-game win streak that year. In 2014, that San Antonio Spurs blew everybody out of the water. They were absolutely incredible. In 2015, that Golden State Warriors team won 67 games. They were the number 1 seed. In 2016, we already know that the Warriors, with the 73 wins, they lost to the Cavs. In 2017, the Warriors won 67 games. They were the number 1 seed. In 2018, the Cavs were the number 4 seed, and the Warriors were the number 1 seed. In 2019, that Toronto Raptors team won the NBA championship. They weren't better than the Warriors that year. I think Toronto was better than them. 2020, the Lakers were the number 1 seed, and they had the best record. Last year, Milwaukee had the best record in the league, and I think Milwaukee was the number 1 seed. And this season that just passed, let me make sure I get this correct. In the Eastern Conference, Miami was the number 1 seed, but they lose to Boston. And in the Western Conference, Phoenix was the number 1 seed, and the Warriors were the 3rd seed, and they were the last team to win the NBA championship as the number 3 seed, because the Bulls did it in '93 when they had Jordan.
Do you think you could give me, not right now, do you think you could, if I asked you every NBA winner from last year right back to 1947, how many do you think you could get right out of the 75? You think you get all 75 right?
Let's see. Real quick, Tom.
Starting this year. Okay, go.
Really quick. Let me make sure I get this correct. Warriors won it this year. Milwaukee won it last year. Who won it in 20? Is that 2020? The Lakers won it. Toronto won it. The Warriors won it. The Warriors won it. The Warriors won it. Cleveland won it.
No, Warriors did not three-peat.
Warriors won it. I'm sorry. Warriors won it. Warriors won it. Cleveland. Warriors. San Antonio. Miami. Miami. Dallas. Lakers. Hold on. Dallas. Lakers. Boston. 2007. Dallas. 2006. Miami. 2005. San Antonio. 4. Detroit. 03. San Antonio. 02. Lakers. 01. Lakers. 2000. Lakers. 99. San Antonio. 98. Bulls. 97. Bulls. 96. Bulls. 95. Rockets. 94. Rockets. 93. Bulls. 93. Bulls. 92. Bulls. 91. Bulls. 90. Pistons. Bulls. I'm sorry. 89. Pistons. 88. Lakers. 87. Lakers. 86. Celtics. 85. Celtics. 84.
No.
Whoa. 85. Lakers. 84. Celtics. 83. Philadelphia. 82. Lakers. 81. Boston. 80. Lakers. 79. Seattle. 78. Washington. 77. Portland. 76. Golden State. 75. Nope. 76 was Boston. 75. Golden State. 74. Boston. 73. The Knicks. 72. Lakers. 71. Milwaukee. 70. Knicks. 69. Boston. 68. Boston. 67. Philadelphia Warriors. 66. Boston. 65. Boston. 64. Boston. 63. Boston. 62. Boston. 61. Boston. 60. Boston. 59. Boston. 58. Boston. 57.
No. 58.
I think that was St. Louis. 58 was St. Louis. I'm sorry.
Yep,
58 was St. Louis. 57.
57. Yeah, 57.
57. Boston, I'm sorry. Boston, 56. Boston, 57. 56. St. Louis, 55. I think
56 was not St. Louis. It was Boston. You got it right. 59 Boston, 58 St. Louis, 57 Boston, 56.
I don't think that was Boston. No, and I don't think it was St. Louis neither. I forgot that one.
They have the same nickname. They have the same nickname as this year's champion.
Warriors. Philadelphia. I'm sorry, Philadelphia. Philadelphia won. Philadelphia won it in 56. I think the Lakers won it in 55.
No, 55 is a hard one.
It wasn't the St. Louis Hawks. It wasn't Rochester.
Is it a team that's not in the league now?
They're not in the league now.
Bobcats?
No,
they are close. They are close. They are close to Rochester, though.
Syracuse won it in 54. Syracuse won it in 55.
55. Yeah.
Syracuse won it in 55. I think they won it in 54 too. No, they didn't win it in 54. I think that's where I get.
That is impressive as hell. So 54,
yeah.
54, 53, 52 is the Lakers three-peat, and then you have the Rochester Royals, the Lakers again in 50. 49 is the Lakers again. 48 is the Baltimore Bullets, and then 47 is the Philadelphia Warriors. Dude, you made it to like the last. That was amazing.
Jay, that was the chat's going wild for you. And JD said, now you have to name every MVP.
no, now you have to name every loser. No, but so okay. So damn, I'm just gonna follow that up with statistics. So you know, in the NBA final, 80% of the time. Let me just say one more time, Jay. That was impressive as hell.
Yeah.
Okay. So 80% of the time, the number 1 or 2 seed is in the NBA final. The number 1 seed wins 72% of the time. Number 2, 14. Number 3, 10. The number 4 seed, 1%. The number 5 seed, crazy. Any guesses how many times the number 5 seed has won the NBA championship?
The number 5 seed has won the championship 0 times. But the number 6 seed has won it once. That would be the Houston Rockets of the 1994-95 season.
The number 6 team, 1.5% of the time.
Absolutely.
And then, so 5, 7, and 8, you do not want to be the 5, 7, or 8 seed because those 3 seeds, 0 NBA titles.
None.
Man, I'm still wowed. I am wowed.
You're an encyclopedia.
No, listen, I know that you are a historian, Jay, and I know about you. Dude, that was impressive. I'd say it one more time.
Thank you.
That was. That's why when you're picking a co-host, you pick a co-host with knowledge like that. All right.
Sure.
Anyways.
Okay. I don't.
How do you follow that up? We should just.
That's it. I mean, goodbye, everyone. Oh man. Well, I guess to talk a little bit about Jalen. There's a question from Sis in the chat. Who will have a better season, Wiggins or Jalen Brunson? Oh wait, maybe that's Jaylen Brown. That has to be Jaylen Brown.
No, I think it's Jaylen Brown. It's Jaylen Brown.
Sorry, just because Brunson was what we were talking about. So who's going to have a better season, Wiggins or Jaylen Brown? Jay, what do you think?
I think that we've seen the best of Andrew Wiggins. And I think that in the system that he's in, I think that he can be better than what he already is. But I think that Jaylen Brown has so much more room to improve. Add that to the fact that he's been in the finals now and he's seen what it is and he's not happy with his performance. I expect Jaylen Brown to come back super sharp next year. And I expect him to be an all-star. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaylen Brown was an all-NBA performer next year. That wouldn't surprise me.
Jaylen Brown is the number 2, clear-cut number 2. And listen, some might argue, we keep saying Tatum's the next superstar. Some, not me, but some would argue Jaylen Brown might be, hey, I could be that superstar too. But he's the clear-cut number 2 on that team. Maybe 1A, 1B if you want. Wiggins is 4 at best. He's the 4th option. So Jaylen Brown, I think, will have a better season, but I think it's only because Wiggins' role now is, hey, give us 15 to 18 and play your absolute best defense, which is what he did. And I think he cherishes that role. I think listen, he was the first overall pick. He had these huge expectations. People were starting to say he was a bust. But you know what? I think just his mentality isn't to be that guy, but I think to be the guy he is now, which is that piece to a championship team. I think he relishes that role. So he's going to play that role. And that's why I think Brown has that opportunity. Just he'll have more opportunities. So I think Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently I was wrong because JD said, and we knew this, Jaylen Brown is spelled with a Y. So it had to be Jalen Brunson. I just didn't see that how that's really a comparison. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, if it's Brunson and we're banking this on him staying in Dallas, then it's a different situation. If he goes to New York, then no.
Okay.
Then I'm definitely sticking with Andrew Wiggins because Andrew Wiggins in his role is going to be better.
So assists. Tell us assists. Were you talking about Brunson or were we talking about Jaylen Brown? And I'll tell you this: if it is Brunson, well then it's Wiggins, because if Brunson goes to New York, his career is over.
Oh my god! Oh.
I won't go that far. I'm not.
JD can clip it. Let me say it again. If Brunson goes to the Knicks, his career is over.
I'm not going to go as far as say his career is over, but I think that no, I'm not going that far. But I think that he will take a step back, being in a worse situation in New York, even though
he did mean Brown.
Even though him being in a worse situation. I think that he's in a better situation than Dallas. I think he can make, like I said, I think he can make the most money. I think that he can flourish. I think that they'll feature him more in the offense. And I think that Luka takes so much more pressure off of him where he can flourish, as opposed to in New York, where he's still running with a young star who's trying to establish himself in RJ Barrett. And a guy in Julius Randle, who, I'm going to say it, he was a B player who had an A year, who still thinks he's an A guy, and he's not. Right. So we're still going to be bumping heads there. Their roles have not been established. Roles already been established in Dallas. You're going to be the primary ball handler with Luka, and you're going to be able to rock. Absolutely. So if he goes to New York, I definitely think that we're talking that.
The Knicks have one shot. The Knicks have one shot if they bring in a fluent GM. If they don't hire me, that's it. It's over for the Knicks. All right.
Yeah. I think for Jalen's sake, I hope he stays with the Mavs, but obviously it's looking a little grim for him. But we'll see what happens.
Situation. I just do. I think it's a better situation in Dallas.
Yeah, and he did so well in it last season. Like they did they did something they weren't supposed to do. They weren't expected to do, and just to rip him out of that environment is so sad. But unfortunately, they don't always have that choice. So. I mean, should we do a little bit of a rapid fire from the chat?
Yeah, let's save the 4-point line for Thursday. Yeah. And let's do rapid fire. Let's go. I'm ready.
All right, you guys. Keep your questions coming in the chat. First we have Siakam or Brown. Fluent, your guy.
I think Siakam. And the reason I think Siakam is the same thing that I said before, because Brown's gonna be the number 2 to Tatum, and I think listen, I've heard Jay tell me so many times, we do got to do something else. But hold on. But let me hold on. Let me answer the question. Then, hold on, JD, you're right. He's going to be the number 2. I think I've been listening to Jay so often tell me that Tatum is going to take that next step and be the superstar. So he's going to be the clear cut 2. Siakam if the Raptors are going to have any shot, Siakam has to be the number 1. So Siakam's going to be the one. So again, it's going to be about opportunities. Like it drives me nuts. I see late in games, right? They're down 10 seconds on the clock, and they're just giving it to Siakam and moving out of the way. 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, he misses, but they're really pushing him to be the guy. So he's going to have the opportunity. So I think he will be the guy.
I think we're comparing apples and oranges. I think Siakam is the guy in Toronto.
He's the guy. Yeah.
I think Jaylen Brown is the clear-cut number 2, and I think that Siakam is better. Made the All-NBA team. Like you know how I feel about that stuff, Tom. Made the All-NBA team last year when you guys played 72 road games that you played. I mean, I believe the second half of the season, I think that Siakam was 28 and 5 in the second half of the season. I think he's more established. I still think that Jaylen Brown has room to grow, and I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I did want to touch. We've had
We're an
all
hour
this...
and 15 into the show that's supposed to be an hour long, and let's talk about the actual topic of the show today.
Yeah,
Is that what
I'm
okay?
slacking. I'm slacking today, but we saved the best for last. So obviously, if you've been on YouTube, Twitter, anything recently, you've seen all the commotion regarding the old media versus the new media. We've seen Draymond and JJ and Stephen A and Skip Bayless and all the, media heads in, action recently. Although I think Skip is on vacation is what I heard. So he hasn't had a chance for a rebuttal to Draymond's antics and thoughts and feelings. But even today, JJ came out with that kind of like live podcast vibey thing they came out with today. And it was really good. It was a really good perspective for kind of that old media that Stephen A has kind of transformed throughout the decades in, and then this new media where we get to see players come and share their thoughts and feelings and real life, encounters. So I guess, Jay, I'll start with you. You've seen media change. You've actually seen it change in the sports world specifically, because Jordan didn't have, obviously there was always media interaction, but it was never this huge thing that we see now where even like fans can have that like personal interaction with players. So how have you seen media transform, and how do you feel about all the kind of antics going on between the old media versus the new?
Well, I think that a lot of guys that played back then would have a very difficult time with the media today, simply because of how much the media has expanded. There's a camera in your face everywhere. We got guys going to dinner, there's a camera in your face. We got guys in the grocery store, there's a camera in your face. We got guys in the club, there's a camera in your face. And a lot of those guys, we didn't know who they were outside of basketball that much. Not only that, they didn't get to hear nearly as much chatter back then as these guys do today. And they didn't get to hear it and not only did they not get to hear it, they didn't get to not only did they hear it, they didn't get to respond to it from who they needed to. So now we have things like Twitter, we have things like Instagram, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have all of these things where these platforms give other people the opportunity to roast guys. How many times I've heard people, well, Jason Tatum doesn't get the slander, or this guy doesn't get the slander, when very little of these guys get much praise. So a lot of those guys back then, I think that they would have had a really difficult time handling it, as opposed to today where it's something that's normal. So to have a guy like Draymond Green, who has his own podcast while he's playing, so he basically gets to create the narrative for himself, as opposed to back then, the other media was able to create the narrative. So they were able to say that, Jordan, listen, you don't play defense. That's why you're not going to be successful. You won't be the defensive player that you were at North Carolina, that you were in the NBA. All you want to do is score. Patrick Ewing, you're not as athletic. You're not as fast as David Robinson. Oh, you don't think so? We're going to get to the bottom of that. So if these guys, if they were playing today and they would have had to hear that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it would have been much more difficult on them than it is today. I appreciate these guys changing the narrative because it is coming from a different perspective. But what I would like is I would like for these guys, players in particular, like Draymond Green, to be a little not less biased, but to be a little bit more objective instead of being subjective. So I can appreciate going after Skip Bayless, because if you're going to talk about, the reason why I can appreciate that stuff is because, like, for example, when I get on here with you guys, if we're going to have a conversation, I need to know what I'm talking about. I can't just say to you guys something that's nuts and not have any substance or anything to back it up. I have to have some substance with me saying, I don't think Draymond Green is a scorer. Well, the fact that I don't think Draymond Green is a scorer is because it's evident. He only averaged 15 points one time in the playoffs. But that's not a slight on him. That's fact. That's not me saying, well, Draymond, you suck. No. He helps them in other areas. And that's the logic that I bring, as opposed to me just completely roasting Draymond Green. So this new media, if they're going to, I would appreciate them in addition to players, I would appreciate them being more objective than subjective, because I think that it would go a long way and it would give them more credibility.
Yeah. And to go off that before you go on Fluent, it's interesting to see. I have to say this because Draymond did say, Jay, just like you mentioned, Draymond said, like, I appreciate what you're saying. I just want analysis for somebody who's turning on the TV and has never watched basketball or is looking for more information. Like, I want analysis. I don't want just like stupid takes.
Oh, I need
that
to know what I'm talking
Skip Bayless. Well, that's what Skip Bayless does. He'll just put anything out there, and I get it. There's like a marketing side because you are the media. You have to bring in numbers and traffic, but at the same time, you want to speak facts as well. So, Fluent, completing your thought as well as going into that, where is the balance, and who's gone too far?
No, I'm not giving you that answer because I disagree. It's poppycock. Everything that Jay just said is a joke. It's wrong. It's wrong. I don't have to analyze. I don't have to give you why. It's wrong. Here's why it's wrong. Okay. One, I disagree, and I will do analysis and tell you why I disagree. One, players back then wouldn't be able to handle what the players today have to deal with in the media. BS. You know why it's BS? Because the players today grew up in a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok world. So they grew up with it, so they know what to expect. They're also, let's be honest, for the majority, there's exceptions. Today's generation, I'm sorry, kill me in the chat if you want, are soft. And the guys back then weren't as soft, and they would be able to handle it. Today's players get to hear someone's take or read someone's take on Twitter, and you know what they get to do? They get to rebuttal. Do you know what the guys in the 70s and 80s had to do? They had to wait a day, read it in the newspaper, and just take it because there was no outlet for them to rebuttal other than
Tom, do you remember Charles Barkley threw somebody through a window? Are you serious right now telling me that they couldn't handle it? He threw somebody through a window. That's what Charles is doing back then. Can you imagine somebody saying Michael Jordan, yo, you are this, you are that, and shoving the camera in his face? I'm 100% confident Jordan is going to punch somebody in the face. I'm going to shut up. I'm done.
I did not interrupt you. That is nuts to me. In the 70s, I said the 70s, you brought it to the 90s. And good. You know what? He should have thrown him out the window. Good for him. You didn't. Will Smith slap Chris Rock for talking about his wife. Good. So here's the thing. In the 70s, and I'm going to come through, don't worry, because I like that you said, Jay, you saw it, and I didn't, because I love that, because it makes it seem like we have a difference in age, which our difference in age, by the way, is 2 years. But anyways, maybe I look good.
No, I was just starting out with him. No,
it's good. So here's the thing. I'll take it. I'm 10 years younger. So they had to take what the media said about them, whether it was to criticize them, to praise them, whatever, in the newspaper, on the radio, and there was no outlet for them to respond. So they just had to take it. And the narrative that they wanted to create about a player, good or bad, that's it. That's what it was. The media controlled the narrative. That's when I think of old media versus new media, that's what I see, is that the old media could control the narrative, and the new media today, hey, I can talk back. Right now, I don't mean KD, burner accounts, beat around the bush. Like, I mean, a guy like Draymond, I actually respect Draymond. I don't like what you're saying about me. I'm going to come out on a podcast and tell you I don't like it. They didn't have that back then. So I think that part is good. Here's the thing, though, about the wild takes and the hot takes and, just do analysis. You know what happens to a guy that just does analysis? Their show gets canceled because no one watches it. As much as we appreciate it and say, hey, like you and I, be like, hey, I really like that. That's awesome. Here's the reality. If all you did was give good quality analysis about objective opinions, you're canceled. No one's going to watch your show. So Skip Bayless takes it too far. Stephen A. Smith, listen, I just interviewed a guy who writes books and creates podcasts for CEOs of a company just yesterday. And he said, look, you have to turn it up to 11. Stephen A. turns it up to like 73. Like, they have to be that to get people to watch them. Now, does that make it right? No. The thing, so I think when, but it's not like they're not saying, the fact that Draymond Green or JJ Redick act like they're not saying, I was about to cuss, BS takes is a joke, because Draymond lives off controversy. Why do you think he's going after Skip? Because if he didn't, no one would listen to his podcast. JJ Redick, what did he say? Those guys in the 60s couldn't play 1 minute in today's NBA. Dude, you're the least athletic player I've ever seen in NBA history. Get out of here. You could beat Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy would run circles around you. Okay, but he has to say it because he understands. Who's my audience? What am I going to say that's going to get them to be like, yeah, we're on board with you? They all do it. That's what you have to do to sell tickets. Right. So I don't know what the question is really about old media versus new media. It's the same. It's the same. Barnum and Bailey has been doing it since 1832. Look at the bearded woman. Ah, come and see. It's the same damn thing. It hasn't changed. The faces have changed. The voices have changed. I guarantee you, there is no old media, new media. It's the same. Different outlets, different channels, more accessibility, like Jay said, yes. Other than that, it's the same.
I think that these guys still.
And yes, hold on. Sorry. Yes, hold on. Lucas, I'll say it again for you. 1,000,000% Bob Cousy would destroy JJ Redick. Period. End of sentence. Full stop.
Now, to add to that, once again, we're talking about guys, because it's difficult as a player to listen to somebody talk about you who's never played. Now, I think that Draymond Green would have much more respect for not just Kendrick Perkins, who he did talk foul about, but I think that he would have more respect for guys.
I think he took it too far with
Kendrick. I think he did. I think he did too. But with that also being said, I think that Draymond would have more. I think he would have more respect for a guy who came at him in a way that made sense. I'm not just going to get on here as a player and go, Draymond, your game sucked. You need to do this and you need to do that. No. If to get on here and say, Draymond, this is how you're more effective. But what sells tickets, Tone? Controversy sells tickets. Absolutely it does. So people aren't going to pay much attention if I said, Draymond, you're more effective when you want to box on the left box, 8 feet away from the basket, knocking down that 18-footer. You're more effective when you're on the offensive glass because what you do is you speed your team's game up and they play off you defensively. That makes Steph better. That makes Clay better. Nobody wants to hear that. What they want to hear is, Draymond, you sucked on defense. Not only did you suck on defense, Brandon Clark dominated you, and you're not that good. And the reason why you're not that good is because you're old. Well, immediately that goes through the roof. And now he's going to come back, if I'm a former player, at me, as opposed to if I gave him legit logic about why I think he would be better.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean how Lucas Hansen, who I guarantee you I know more about basketball on my pinky finger than he knows his whole body, says that I can't talk basketball anymore because I said Bob Cousy beat JJ Redick? You mean like that kind of controversy that sells?
That kind of controversy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd cook you like Cousy would cook JJ. So here's the thing. I get it, but that Draymond, it's such a hypocritical thing for him to say, I don't like that you did that. What does he do? Charles Barkley calls him, triple single. Or you don't have any rings. Give me a break, Dre. Like, come on. Like, that's that.
I think that I think guys like Draymond Green, what they want to do is they want to be more in control of what people say about them and how they say it. You're not just going to stand on the sideline and talk about my game in a derogatory way and me not have anything to say about that. So when he talks about the new media, he's talking about himself. He's talking about Richard Jefferson. He's talking about Kendrick Perkins. He's talking about the players, the guys who are more involved in the game.
He said Kendrick Perkins is the old media.
Well, even Kendrick Perkins, he's talking about guys who are more involved in the game, who are more in tune with the game, who are more today as opposed to 20, 25 years ago, who still deal with the old rhetoric and the old narrative. He's more on those guys. That's what I think he's talking about when he talks about the new media, as opposed to today or as opposed to back then when, again, we got guys who they were able to ask questions and you had to be real, studious and
you had to be well because you're a professional.
Right. I had to be very professional about what I said. I had to be very
profession, and you need to be professional. That's
things
long
like that.
Gone. Yeah. And media's that's gone too. Like media isn't as professional as they used to be. Players aren't as professional as they used to be. And let's be honest, I like it.
Yeah, it's authentic.
And that's why I say, with the Draymond thing, I like the fact that I think Key and Peele did a skit where they were talking to him and he's like, I'm just here to help the team. God willing, we can get a win today. All those generic kind of really terrible answers. And he's like, can you just say one thing, that isn't a cliche? And he could. And so I like it. It is better, but we have to be careful. We have to be careful because when that happens, right, you know how it is. We live in a more culture. And if you give them a little bit of controversy, well, then everybody wants more. And when you get a little bit more, they want more and more and more. And we're getting to that point where we might have to, be careful, because like I said, Dre took it too far.
Yeah.
And again, Drake could have said the same thing, just in a different way. So
right, and that's the thing that worries me a bit about Draymond too. Is that like even Stephen A. called him out on this. He's like, you are so unaware of some of the things that you're going to learn being a part of the media. Like he's still a player, and so he's gonna have to transition and learn how the media works and learn that backlash is just normal. Like you have to get even what we do. Like we're on a very minuscule level compared to what they are, but we know what you say is forever out there, and people are not gonna like you, and that's just something you have to get over. And I see Draymond trying to be almost an ambassador for every player in the league and like back every single one of them up against Stephen A, against the media. And I think what he's going to have to learn is he can't do that forever. Like he's going to have to disagree with some people. He's going to have to be willing to, kind of mesh with media if that's what he's going to do for a profession. So
and
your job, listen, your job, and listen, right? I've said this to you guys before. Like when I go the 5 times that I've been on ESPN radio, right? They ask about a player. I can't just say, oh, they're wonderful, they're all great, they're this. No, like this is what they do well. This is where I think they need to improve to help their team. That's what the expectation is.
Right.
And if you don't, no, like again, Draymond right now, they want to listen because he's on a championship team. He just won an NBA title. The more after you've retired, every year that goes by, you're less and less interesting unless you say stuff that people want to hear. So if he retires 5 years after that, if he's still saying everybody in the league is great, well, no one's going to want to hear that. They want to hear how they can get better, what they're doing well, what they're doing wrong. That's just part. Now, listen, a lot of people don't want to hear it. Like I remember this has died down, but I remember when I first got onto TikTok and I did a something to do with LeBron James. And I said something that he didn't do well. I got death threats. I was a nobody. I had like 1,000 followers, and I've got death threats. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Because I said something negative about your favorite player. Yeah. So I can imagine someone who has millions of people that they might be hesitant, but that's what you got to do. You have to call out the good and the bad, right? So
I have to deal with that on the regular tone. I have to deal with people telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. That the fact that I don't have Kobe Bryant in my top 10, you don't know basketball. Even though I got him at 11, like, would it make you feel better if I had him at 9? Would it make you feel better if I had him at 10? But the fact that I got him at 11, I am clueless about basketball. You don't know. So the point that I'm trying to make with that is,
I did Fluent at the Farm today, just so you know. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock I do, or 5 to 6 I do Fluent at the Farm on my daughter's horseback riding. And I don't know, 3 comments in, yo, how does your boy Jay have Kobe at a top 10?
Unbelievable.
Like, we're not even talking about that.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That's absolutely unbelievable. But Draymond has to, I think the thing with Draymond that's the most important is you have to pick your battles. You can't fight every battle, right? Everything can't just be, well, what did he say? Let's go after him. No, in fact, a lot of that stuff should fuel you. A lot of that stuff should be motivation for you to just be better and to teach you how to deal with people, how to talk to people. I mean, can you imagine, Tone, if in 1989, if this was 1989 when the Bulls was playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers and one writer from the Chicago Sun had the Cavs in 3, another one had them in 4, and another one had the Cavs in 5, and Jordan goes, we already took care of you. Okay, we already took care of you, and today we take care of you, right? So, and then what would happen after the game when they beat them? Like, what would go on a podcast if Jordan hits a buzzer beater to win a series? What goes on a podcast? Is Jordan getting on the podcast going, you mother, this is why we did this, and you guys don't know what you're talking about, you suck. And, well, whoa, hold on, Mike. Man, we can't have that sort of rhetoric right there, even though ratings will go through the roof. But you might scare people too. You might scare people. So you might have to be more conscious of how you talk around and to people. So I just think that Draymond needs to be more, if I could say, I just think that he needs to be more conscious of picking his battles. My man, you ain't got to fight with everybody. You can fight with some people, but you don't have to fight everybody, because I can promise you, if you fight everybody, eventually you're going to lose.
Yeah. Hey, listen, by just last thing, and then we'll move on. By Lucas Hansen, by his logic, I'm the greatest rapper alive. Just so you guys know. Yeah, because if I went back to 1985 with all the Jay-Z's and Kendrick Lamar's and Lil Wayne's lyrics, and I just spit them, I'd be the greatest rapper alive, because I get to go back with 40 years of knowledge. So respect the greatest rapper alive. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Check me out on, check me out on Spotify. Someone never watched Hot Tub Time Machine, apparently. All right, let's go.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. It was really good. Honestly, we have so much more to get into as the off season continues. And we'll see what's going on with Jalen on Thursday. So make sure to tune in, get those likes up. But for now, Jay, take it away.
Take it light. Take it.